Ooh. So we are live, at least the computer says live. Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream of tonight. This is, I even don't know, it's the 13th of March, 13th. I cannot believe that time has gone so fast. I just don't know where time has gone. Honestly, I have no idea. So, haven't done a stream in a while, but welcome for those of you who are joining me. Today, I just wanted to draw some flowers, and the ones that I chose are some tulips. We're going to start really slow with this spring tulips and spring flowers. And I think tulips are the easiest ones of the bunch to draw. Says Claudia. I'm not sure, but in my opinion, tulips are the easiest bunch to draw. I was trying different flowers. Let me show you. I was trying some hyacinths also, and I think I got the idea right, but I'm not sure I got the flowers correctly. Doesn't really matter for this one, but yeah, I'll think about it some more. I don't know if you can even see it. Let me see. Can you see the drawing? No, you can't probably. Anyway, welcome back. Hello, Johan, and hello, Marlena. Thank you so much for joining. So today I have also decided to use my original palette, or what I call my original palette. There are a couple of colors that I had in a very special palette that I used for forever. They're hand-picked colors of the ones that I really like, and actually in the weekend I did a little bit of cleaning and I threw away about 5 or 6 colors and I replaced them with some other ones. Let me explain a little bit. I realized that there were some colors I never used, and the colors that I never used were some really bright yellows, like the lemon yellow and so on. I never used those bright yellows, to be honest. Like, it's not in my normal yellow range that I use. So I replaced them with some yellows that I always do, like nickel azo yellow and a quinacridone gold hue. And these are all that were before, like the normal colors that I always used. And in here I removed some of the reds. There were some reds more towards the orange, like cadmium light. I never use that color, to be honest. I don't like it. There are some reds I just don't like. So I just put the ones that I always use, like alizarin crimson, quinacridone rose. These ones are always there. So these ones were always there. And then I made quite some changes on the blue. I always had on the blue, you know what? Every palette comes with like Prussian blue and cobalt blue and so on. Every palette that you buy just comes by default with these two blues. I particularly hate these blues. I don't like them at all. So I just put here the blues and the other colors that I always will use. And I always use cobalt turquoise. I always use cerulean blue, because these are the two colors that I love. I always use this one, Pickup Blue. Pickup Blue is actually from a Mugello Mission Gold. Okay. It's not Daniel Smith, it's not any, but it's a beautiful blue, if there's one color out of the Mugello Mission Gold that I would urge you all to buy, is this Pickup Blue. It's so beautiful. And then I had other blues like Lunar Blue, Lunar Violet, Moon Glow, Shadow Violet, Indigo, and so on. These ones I had before. And then the last row I always had, so I didn't change. So I only made changes to the blues, to the reds, and to the yellows. And I took out the really bright colors that I know I'll never use. So this was my cleaning exercise for, let's say, the entirety of the weekend. Kind of, I cleaned my palette and I rearranged them, and I redid my my swatch here. Yeah, so I know what colors I have. I think I only added one color green, which I'm regretting now buying, because I bought one color green. It's called Terra Verde. It's from Winsor & Newton, and I thought that the color is gonna be much different than what I actually got. I don't particularly love this. I'm thinking of changing it, and I'll probably change it to a different green. I still have to think which green I want to change. Maybe the forest green or the blue green from the schminke super granulating, but this one I'm not loving it. It is what it is, right? But all the other ones are some of my most used colors. Maybe I'll do a separate video on it to explain why and how did I end up with this palette. But anyway, a little bit about the palette. And now I just drew some tulips here. I got for my birthday, which was last week. My birthday was last week. I got tulips as a present. So hence why I'm drawing tulips. And as usual, I just did a sketch. My hair is all over the place. I did a sketch in pencil, and I erased a little bit the pencil with an eraser just to make sure I don't have any harsh lines. And then I'm just gonna outline it, and I'm using 2 microns. One is the Micron pen. This one doesn't have a felt tip, has a tip that is plastic, but it's really juicy pen. And this is a 05. I'll see for the details and the lines, I'll use this one. Okay, so this is kind of what I'll do, and then we're gonna get to chatting. So welcome again. Haven't done this in a while, so I kind of forgot how to do it. But let's see, how do we get tulips? Why are they the easiest ones? Because usually okay, there are some tulips that are really hard to draw. I don't disagree, right? But usually there's just some ovals, some like egg shape. Let's start with this one. They're just some egg shape ovals. So yeah, if you're wondering what paper I'm using, actually I started using a different types of paper. I realized that there were some papers I had in my stash that I never used. So let me just watch a little bit. I have a feeling that somehow I hear myself while talking, and that is not a good idea. Okay, now I don't hear myself talking. Don't know why I was hearing some reverb or something. So I had a lot of papers in the back. You cannot see anymore in the back. Up there, I have all my watercolor papers. So because it was my birthday, of course I went to the art shop and I bought a bunch of papers, which is normal for me. And as I was buying quite some papers, and I bought lots of Arches again, because Arches is usually my most used paper brand, right? I realized that I had other papers that I never really used anymore, and I felt so bad for, let's say, spending the money on them and not really using them. So I decided that I will be using more of the other papers until I finish them. So this particular one is Fabriano, and this is just the cold press. So I kind of threw away all my hot press watercolor papers. I don't use them as much for good reason. I don't like hot press paper. I don't think my style is really for hot press paper. There are some people, some styles, if you do faces or if you do humans or if you do a lot of backgrounds and so on, hot press would really help you, okay? It's a really gorgeous type of paper. For what I'm doing for flowers, and especially for the super granulating and for all the things that I'm doing, because I'm using lots of super granulating colors and because I want my flowers to be super vibrant, hot press doesn't work for me. So I had lots of hot press and I put it away. I haven't decided yet what I will use it for. I mean, I still bought it and I still have tons of it. I have like 4 or 5 hot press blocks from Arches. Luckily, I didn't buy hot press from other companies. I only have like some small blocks of hot press from other companies. So luckily, I didn't spend that much. But I haven't decided what I'll do with the hot press. But I put them away, and I just put my cold press there. And I realized that I had cold press from like Fabriano. I had from Sounders, from the UK. And what cold press did I had more? Yeah, I had quite some Arches cold press. So yeah, I just started using them randomly. I don't even look anymore at it. Let me explain what I did. Is I cut a bunch of paper to size, and I started drawing. So I have lots of drawings, lots of papers here, and they're from different companies. You can kind of see the difference. Some of them are super white, like Fabriano. This is like extra white. Some of them are super creamy, which is really nice as well. But I just decided to use them up. I'm not gonna hoard anymore. And I have one good idea as to why we shouldn't hoard watercolor paper. I was watching some other artists. It turns out that watercolor paper does have an expiration date. So the sizing in the paper can expire because it's made out of like animal products and different things, right? Depending on how the paper is made. Of course, there's vegan paper and all that. So if you hoard too much a certain paper, when you're gonna have to use it a year or two later, it's not gonna work anymore. It's not gonna be good. It's not gonna absorb paper as it should. So it's a good idea not to hoard it. That's why I've decided, you know what, I'm just gonna use all the paper I have, right? No regrets, although it's very hard because I'm always thinking, oh no, I paid a lot of money for this paper. So yeah, it's okay. It's okay. We'll survive it. We'll survive it. Okay. And yeah, I don't remember what it's so funny that I'm drawing tulips, but I never actually thought about what's inside the tulip once it's open. I remember they have some stamen here, so I'm just gonna do it. Yeah, so that is why I decided I'm not gonna hoard them anymore. That's why I need to decide what to do with the hot press, because if I don't do anything with the hot press, it's gonna get bad, right? So it can be very well that I decide on the hot press to just do loose watercolors, and that works. Maybe I'll do a series. I'll just use it for pattern making or something like that, you know. These are closed ones. Closed tulips. We'll do the details a bit later on. I mean, don't worry. I'm trying to be very careful because I don't want to make a mistake here, and then it will just look weird. Okay, so that was my papers, and I've just decided that I'm going to take papers out of a block, and I'm just gonna use them as they were. And that is actually quite funny. Can you hear that? Can you hear the pen go? Okay. the leaves of the tulip are quite irregular in shape. They're quite big, I would say. So there's one girl that I really love how she does her tulips, but you know, I don't. That is the funny part, is like sometimes I draw flowers, but I don't draw these flowers all the time. So then I'll never become as good as some people in certain flowers. That is the thing that happens when you don't draw the same flower over and over again. You know, it just happens. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I probably would be much better if I would draw every day, but I don't. I don't draw every day. At least not tulips every day, you know. Sometimes you might see me draw tulips. Okay. So, yeah, who knew that watercolor paper has an expiration date? You might wonder, do watercolors have an expiration date? Yes, watercolors as well. Well, it's a bit harder. It depends on how well you tighten your leads and so on. So if it's in tubes, if the tubes are really like hermetically closed, then they don't necessarily expire. They might dry out though, because they have a binder inside. So what you might end up with is a problem with the binder. It happens, okay? Don't. I had when I did the watercolor, when I did the cleaning of the palette, I had one color here. I don't know if you can see it here. This raw sienna. This raw sienna before and was really dried out. It was a raw sienna from schminke. For some reason, the tube itself dried out, and then the color itself dried out really badly in the pan. So I had to replace it with the raw sienna from a different company. Luckily, I had a Winsor & Newton, and that one had no problem. But for some reason, the raw sienna from schminke just dried out completely. So I'm not sure if it was my mistake, because I didn't put the lid correctly. It could be. Like, I'm not going to stand here and say schminke did the boo-boo. Right? I just don't know. But yeah, they do dry out because the binder dries out. Theoretically, you could reactivate the binder, or you could reactivate the thing itself, the colors itself. But yeah, I'm not that good at it, so I'm not doing it. These ones that you've already squeezed into pans, what it could be if you don't use them for a long time and they really dry out and they flake out, right? It depends on how much air does it come inside the palette. So there are some palettes like the Mijello palettes, they are really airtight. So those ones don't really experience this kind of flakiness. I have some other ones like from Japan, they're really flaky. you're gonna go like, what happened there? Yeah, so it really depends on how much air. What it could happen on these ones, if you leave water, and it can get moldy, and once it gets moldy, it really depends what type of binder they use, but it can get moldy, and then it becomes really bad. Then it gets destroyed, right? But the watercolor paper itself does have let's say that the moldiness and destroying of watercolor colors itself, it's a much slower process than the watercolor paper. Watercolor paper, if you don't use it within 2 to 3 years, I think it just loses its good properties that makes it nice. So my idea is I'm going to use all the watercolor paper I have this year. That's why I cut a lot of pieces of paper. It pains me because I'm always thinking how expensive the paper was, but I think I would be much more pissed. And now I'm going to throw away all of this. Wait. Okay, now we're back. If I were to do something and then I won't be able to use the paper that I paid money for, right? Maybe there should be a video where I explain the colors that I almost never use anymore. But anyway, I've been around. I've been walking around in the neighborhood for quite a while now, and what I'm noticing is that spring is all around. It's really cool. The weather is really nice, really warm. So yeah, that's gonna be an interesting effect. Now, what should I do? I will add more details to these ones while I decide on some colors, man. Okay. Usually there's one big line and there's several small lines coming. So let me see. Okay. The lines that I'm doing really convey the shape of the petal, right? It will make it look a little bit like that. It's really nice. And this one, maybe. I'm not very good at this, but you know. I'm just gonna make some nice lines all around. Okay. Like a spotted one. Okay, there's a new, I'm not gonna say attraction. There's a good botanical garden that's about to open here in my city, and it's gonna open in about 32 days or something like that. So that's going to be really nice. And it's gonna have a lot of space on the outside where you can walk. So I cannot wait to walk. And it's probably, they're gonna have probably tulips. I mean, we're in the Netherlands, so tulips are basically the bread and butter of the Netherlands, I would say. So I'm just going to expect a lot of tulips in there. And you know, I'm gonna take you guys along. I have a subscription for it because this is the newest attraction, and for the people, for the residents of the city, because we're in the city where it opens, it's much cheaper, so I could get a yearly subscription. So, and you might wonder, why do I want a yearly subscription to a botanical garden? First of all, because you need to go somewhere. It's really boring sitting in the house. I think everybody can agree with us here. And thirdly, I like to go around and get inspiration, you know, because only by walking around and seeing flowers in real life. You can get inspiration about what you're gonna draw, you know. I walked to the forest today. I really enjoyed walking to the forest, to be honest. There's almost nothing there because, you know, there's only a few trees have leaves right now. But I saw the moss, I saw different kind of things, so I'm really enjoying myself. Okay, so I added quite some lines, I added quite some things, and now we're just gonna add color. And I think I'm going to do so there are 5, okay. This ones were gonna be with purple pinkish because I got purple pinkish. I wanna do maybe a yellow with red. Yellow with red. So purple pinkish, yellow red, and what should I do more? What other colors of tulips? Some more yellows. Let's see. I'm gonna use my number 4. This is Escoda Versatil number 4. And let's just get to it. Now that I have these new yellows here, I might as well just use them. Okay. Now you can paint tulips in many different ways, trust me. I do it in a very controlled way. Some people do it like super crazy with water, kind of. I like my tulips to be super controlled. So I'm gonna do 1 petal at a time. Okay. And I'm going to do the middle, like super light. Okay. I'm just gonna even leave some white there. Okay. And I'm gonna do the sides with a nickel as a yellow. With a quinacridone gold hue. This is a really dark orangey color. So I'm gonna do those sides like that. It almost looks like a brown yellow. It's really nice. Okay. And then I'm going to just smooth it out. Smooth. Okay. It's gonna look really nice. Okay. The funny part is I haven't yet encountered many yellows that are very transparent. It's very hard to get transparent yellows, trust me. And so I'm just gonna have to add quite some water. Once it's dry, I'm gonna deepen the colors. This is not gonna be what it's like, right? I'm just gonna let it dry and then we're gonna deepen the colors and add more colors there. Okay, so that's one. I'm going to do one here that is starting with some red here, and which better red to do than Perlin red. That's a nice red. Perlin red with some of the yellow. Let's do it. Look at this beautiful red. And the red is gonna be the base of the flower. It's gonna be a really interesting red. By the way, tulips I've been to the tulip gardens. We call them the Keukenhof here in the Netherlands. You can go. There are hundreds and hundreds of species of tulips. They are the most wonderful flowers in the whole wide world, and they can be surprisingly in any color that you might think or not think about. If you're thinking that's not possible that it is a tulip with this color, trust me, it is possible to be a tulip with that color. There's so many different colors and so many different styles of tulips, and I mean this is just one style of tulip, but there with frayed edges, not frayed edges, very thin petals, not so thin petals. There are so many types. So, you know, I'm just doing one style of tulip, but whenever I say tulips, there can be many. So yeah, I really like this red. I like reds that are more towards the darker side of things. So yeah, you can definitely see that this is not Arches watercolors. This is not Arches paper. You, the viewer, might not see it. I am noticing it when I'm doing this. I mean, it's a beautiful paper, but I'm noticing that it's not Arches. Arches cold press has much more tooth than this one. This is definitely Fabriano. Even if I didn't know it was Fabriano, I would tell you. Arches cold press is much more rough and has much more tooth than this one. So yeah, but it's still a beautiful watercolor paper. I would still recommend it. If this is the one that you can buy there, it's still 100% cotton. It's still really nice. Okay, so I have nothing except that for me, when I'm using the super granulating colors, if I were to use the Fabriano, I wouldn't get the nice granulation because it doesn't have a lot of tooth. But you know, other than that, it's a really beautiful color. You can get a lot of things done with it. So yeah, it's so funny that after a while I learn what are the properties of the papers that they use. When I was just beginning watercolor, I didn't know what the difference was. I didn't even know what the difference between cold press and hot press was. And to be honest, back then I was doing just watercoloring for my card making, and yeah, I was using really cheap watercolor paper, and some of the YouTubers back then, they were doing like really fancy watercoloring and all sorts of different techniques, and I could never get those techniques to do, and that was because I was using like the really cheap watercolor paper, which obviously doesn't work. It's obviously that doesn't work. Actually, I would like to do another one, the same one here, right? And those, or not. No. Let's do that. I'll use alizarin crimson. It's a different type of red. This is a red more towards the pink. This is a red more towards orange. That's why I used that red. I used Perlin red with the yellow because they're very similar. This one, this type of red, wouldn't go very well. My mom really used to love tulips. She still loves them. They're her favorite flowers. Just as FYI, tulips are her favorite flowers, and she used to love red tulips. They used to be her most precious tulips ever. Red and yellow tulips, that was her thing. And I just love, I will just put a hint, just a hint of some purple. Just a hint. I just wanted to see how that would look like if I had some purple here up. It looks actually quite good. I will have to go back to that one. That's okay. But this is how you do tulips. You take it one step at a time, one tulip at a time, one petal at a time, because you know you don't want to mess up things. And this is how you do tulips. Again, on this one with this red, I'll go with pearly maroon afterwards and really make things darker. Right, but for now I'm just going to do as much as I can like this. And now towards the top it's always light. Okay. You know what I'm noticing? I didn't do the lines on this one. How could I forget? I was like, why is that petal looking so bland? Some petals are just looking bland. Okay. Let me take some more alizarin crimson. And dab, 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 dab. I'm gonna be very careful here. I'm gonna leave some white space there. And I'm not talking because I'm afraid if I'm talking, I'm going to mess up something. You need to have really concentration. Okay. Some people were asking me some of my friends, what they get as a present for my birthday. And what I can say is, next live stream I'll show you. But I got some, from my husband, I got some acrylic gouache, which is really nice. The Holbein acrylic gouache. I cannot wait to try it out. Next time we'll do. I wasn't feeling very confident this time in trying it out, but next time I will. And from my mother and mother-in-law, I got some Arches watercolor paper. They band it together. And I got some extra watercolors. I mean, some extra tubes of color, like about 5 tubes of color. And those were lunar blue, lunar violet, moon glow, shadow violet. There's some Daniel Smith ones that I got, which is really nice. So not a lot, but I think that the acrylic gouache is like the biggest thing that I got so far, because that's, first of all, that's big. Second of all, quite expensive. I wasn't realizing. So thank you, honey, for buying it for me. My husband knows I always wanted to try the acrylic gouache. I mean, I have different types of gouache, but I wasn't very happy with gouache in general. Maybe because I don't know how to use it, but I really wanted some acrylic gouache. So, you know, I did that. Okay, now. Which one should I do? I'll just do some Ultramarine Violet, but some schminke Violet. That would be nice. So. I am planning to leave a little bit of white in the middle, so that's why I'm doing only the okay, the bare minimum. Let's put it this way. Okay, the Ultramarine Violet is really nice violet, to be honest. Yep, 1 and 2. So that's what I got for my birthday. I was taking around in town. I went to Amsterdam, which is really nice. It was a really wonderful day in Amsterdam. I got ramen. I didn't go to a restaurant in so long, like since the pandemic almost, right? And I haven't had ramen since then. And I used to go to ramen with my friends from work every week. Every week Friday was ramen day, and I still remember how much we enjoyed it and how much we just went out and yeah, this was my first ramen outing in like forever, I would say. And yeah, it was really nice. It was really nice. By the way, I wonder what I should do as the which greens should we take? I'm thinking some sap green with some permanent green and some jaded, because tulips are not really tulips are very bright, so I cannot use olive green or others, right? So I need really sap green, May green, and some permanent green, and then darkening up with jaded. I think so. Yeah. So let's do that. Let's start with May green. May green is from Schminke. It's a really nice color, but it's very neony. Okay. This should be used as the base for a lot of things, and then we're gonna go and darken things up. And what else did I go to in Amsterdam? There's this really nice Amsterdam shop. It's called Fantasy something Fantasy Shop. Let's put it this way, where you can buy a lot of fantasy figurines, like sculptured, and lots of cosplay things. Not that I'm into cosplay, and not that I would fit any of those, because you see, I'm quite big. But I really enjoyed looking there. I actually got a nice pendant, and I got to get inspired a little bit by the really nice fairies and everything that they had there. I really enjoyed that. So yeah, it was a full day. I walked like 15,000 steps, which was nice. I haven't walked in a while. But yeah, you know, sometimes things happen like that. And now we're gonna do sap green. Don't worry. One thing I noticed by going to the art shop is that I really like to be in an art shop, but I just couldn't find anything to buy. It was the first time that, okay, I had the money from my mom and my mother-in-law, so I had a budget, but it was the first time that I actually only spent about 200 euros there. And the funniest part was majority of the money went on paper because, you know, an artist block cost quite a lot. So I just spend majority of my money on artist blocks of paper, but I just couldn't find anything that I wanted to buy. And why? Because probably I already have all the stuff. I was looking for the schminke super granulating, the haze set. They didn't have it. As one of you actually mentioned on one of my comments, which is really nice, on my previous set, you were mentioning that the haze set is actually only a set that is in collaboration with Jackson's Art. Jackson's Art, they have an UK shop and so on. So my art shop didn't have it. I just didn't want to buy it from Jackson's. It's very expensive. I think the haze set was around 80 euros. Oh, a lot of money. Can you imagine how much artist paper I can buy for 80 euros? And then if you factor in that it comes from England, from the UK, so that means I'll get to pay import taxes and then 20 something euros for transport. That is a very expensive set. And I just decided, you know what, I'll just leave without it. It really pains me because I really wanted to have that set, but on another way, I don't know, man, just think about it, paying so much money for a set. I mean, I don't know. It's a lot of grays, which are nice, but then I'm also thinking, when do I actually use grays? And I don't use grays that much, to be honest, so I'm just going to have to be a bit more realistic and, you know, buckle down and decide not to buy it. Or I just put money aside, it's okay. Like maybe in a couple of months I'll have enough money to be able to buy it, although it's gonna be a painful experience. I sometimes thinking, even if I have money, should I? Yeah, it's always the question. If you're wondering why I don't do art hauls or other stuff, I stopped doing that a while back, and there's a reason for it. I did a lot of KonMari, so I used to be a crafter, and I used to have lots of craft supplies, and even now I have lots of craft supplies, which I probably should be kicking out, and because I don't use them anymore. But I used to have a lot, like this entire room was full of craft supplies, and I used to buy just for the sake of buying back then. And I just can't do that anymore. Ever since I did that KonMari, I'm like, will I actually use this, what I'm buying? Or am I just buying it for the sake of just buying something? And I don't think I can just buy stuff for the sake of just buying stuff anymore. It is something that doesn't exist. So that's why I was pretty bummed out when I was at the art shop that I actually couldn't buy much more. And mind you, it's not like I go every month to the art shop. This was my first trip this year there, because I just never go to Amsterdam. If I buy something is when something breaks. For example, I bought some brushes, some more Escoda Versatil, because, you know, these are pretty nice brushes that don't last you more than half a year, but they're very good brushes. So I just buy online. But yeah, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Okay, I'm really liking these colors. The sap green, so beautiful for these ones. And don't worry, we're gonna go deep into the tulips and we're gonna make them. Okay. This one. Cannot wait to go in with the JJD-8. This is the darkest one in the back. The darkest leaf in the back. Right? I'm trying really hard not to touch the stems because the stems need to stay in front. Yeah. These are nice. Yep. This is a nice color, sap green. It's a really nice and vibrant color, and it doesn't dry matte. It actually dries pretty nice. So I really enjoy it. And then with May green, it's actually the difference with May green is it's very neony, but it's also pretty opaque, so you have to use quite some water. Like, don't use it as is because it can be very opaque and then your dark lines will disappear, right? So but it's still a nice color. And it can granulate once you put in some water in it. It has some nice blooms that can happen there. So it plays nice with water, let's put it this way. Okay, let's do the last leaf there. And then we're just gonna go and do some random darkening of everything. I would just say darkening of everything. That should be an interesting thing. Okay, what else do we have here? I just wanted to thank you, all of you that have subscribed in the latest weeks to my YouTube channel. It really means a lot to me. I kind of decided to take a little bit of a, I would say, a step back. I was really tired in the last few days. I actually had some holiday. And you might think that on my holiday I went and I partied, and no, I slept. I even slept this afternoon, which is surprisingly because I had guests in that came for my birthday celebration, and I just couldn't stay awake, so I actually went and I slept. And it's okay. It's a good thing to do. Always take care of yourself. There's not gonna be anybody taking care of you, to be honest. If you don't take care of yourself, nobody's gonna take care of you. Trust me. It's like that. But if you haven't seen me around, it's mainly because of that. I haven't. So what I have perlin green and jaded. I think I'll just do jaded. There are five or 3 or 5 colors that I need to replenish because they're almost empty. And one is the quinacridone gold hue. I don't have it. I mean, I squeezed the last pieces here, and the jaded I also squeezed the last pieces, so I need to buy. And I think I make some. Oh, I didn't make it in here, but yeah, there are a couple that I need to just buy new tubes. New tubes. Not all of them. I think there were just max 5 of them that I needed to buy new tubes. But oh yeah, the peacock blue. Peacock blue. That's a really nice blue. Jaded, it's a really nice color, man. It's a really nice dark green. So it's really worth it to have it. And it's also granulating, so it's really nice. Whoa! Oops. I almost killed my water here. Sometimes you have to be careful with your water next to you. Not because of anything, but I am very clumsy, so I need to just be careful with the water. Okay. Look how beautiful this is. Yep. And then this part is gonna be super dark. Yeah. And here I'm gonna make it darker. I keep forgetting to actually order them. I should maybe order them after this live stream. I'll order them because otherwise I forget. I'm a very forgetful person, and then I'll be like, oops, I forgot to order them, and then I won't have the colors anymore. Okay, that's good. And now notice how much depth now it gets here because I'm doing this. One example is here. And I'm sorry if I don't look at the chat anymore, but I'm just gonna assume that everything is okay and that you guys can still see me and hear me, and there's no reason to get crazy. I could technically do some perlin green around. That would be something. Oops, not on that one. Okay. Here, I'm going to do some here. When did I get the Jade? I think I got it as my first Daniel Smith set. My first Daniel Smith set, I mean my first two sets were 6 colors from Daniel Smith, and it was the 6 primary colors and 6 granulating colors. And Jade was part of the granulating colors. I didn't particularly like the other ones. Oh, my apologies. But I liked Jade for some reason. I really like it, so I stuck with it. Okay. I think the leaves are really nice and really colorful, and now we're just gonna deepen these ones. Really deepen them. I'm gonna maybe even go with orange here. Inside. Let's see. This is transparent orange for those of you who are wondering. And why is it called transparent orange? Because it's really transparent. Oh yeah, transparent orange was one of those things that I needed to buy, because I don't have it in my tube anymore. I used it a lot. You can see that I only kept the ones that I used. So whenever you're thinking of doing kind of a purge of things, of colors or whatever, think of it this way. Only keep the colors that you're actually using. Otherwise, you're always going to feel guilty. Okay. Yep. That looks already much better. Let's see this one. Ooh, I put way too much color. I need to pick it up with a damp brush. Man. I'm using the Perlin Violet, and Perlin Violet is always very strong color. Okay? Very strong color. But really nice. Okay. I need to use only tiny smidge. Tiny smidge. You know, maybe in a different life, I was a tulip grower and I was growing tulips. At least that was a pastime that a lot of Dutch people have. They used to do growing tulips, and they used to... By the way, do you guys know where tulips come from, actually? Originally, they come from Turkey, and they were brought to Europe by the Dutch. And then there was this whole craziness with the tulip wars, where the price of a tulip was, or a tulip bulb, can be more than what it was for a house. Like, that's insane. But yeah, that's how much tulips were worth. Okay, and now let's do Perlin Maroon for the red one. Perlin Maroon is a really nice red. It's really dark red, and it's going to help me bring out the darkness in these ones. Okay. This one is really dark. Sits in the back. This one sits in the back. Really dark. Okay. Notice I'm just doing some lines. I'm just giving it some texture and some stuff. That's it. Okay. And for that one, let's see. Should I go with red dip? Yep. Just a smidge. Red dip is a beautiful orangey red. It also comes from Winsor & Newton. Still really pretty. Okay. And now what should I do? What should I do? I think that one really needs a little bit more. Somehow I really want that one to be darker. Okay. Okay. I'm adding some different shade to the green of the stem, just to get some variation. Yeah, that's good. And then I'll just add some dots here and there. Okay, why not? Yep. And then that one is a really dark. Okay, that's nice. And then that one requires me to do dark steps. Yeah. And let's see. I'm using the Berlin green just to add some dust to this one. I think that my spring flowers are really nice. What do you guys think? There's some good tulips here. Okay. Yeah, I really enjoyed doing this. What can I say? It's really nice. Could I have done it better? Maybe, but nah, I think they look pretty. They're really like this, these colors. They're really, really bright colors, especially this. They really exist in real life. So I wouldn't be surprised. They are pretty realistic. Maybe the leaves a little bit I could have done better, but other than that, they look nice. Marlena, oh, it's awesome, beautiful, and the colors are gorgeous. Oh, thank you, Marlena. Thank you so much. These are really nice. Really nice. I really enjoyed. I haven't done art in a while just because I've been resting, but I'm going to get back into the groove of things. So thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay? See you.